Hello and welcome. I'm Professor Samir Al-Rashani, and I'm really excited to walk you through an instructional case that I've put together. It gets right into the heart of a really tough accounting challenge in the oil and gas industry. We're going to be looking at a real-world problem, a big one, facing a major energy company called OiloGo Inc. And don't worry, I'm going to walk you through the whole framework you'll need to solve it. Okay, so let's get right into it. The whole case, and I mean everything, really hinges on this one key idea: the Production Sharing Agreement, or PSA. Now, this isn't your average everyday contract, not at all. Think of it more like a high-stakes partnership agreement. It's the rulebook that decides how billions of dollars in oil revenue get split between the company and the host country. So you can imagine, in this world, getting the accounting right isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely everything. So yeah, everything we're going to talk about today is pulled directly from my case, activity-based costing in a challenging business environment. But look, my goal here isn't to just throw a bunch of facts at you, not at all. I want to really walk you through the logic, step by step, of a super complex problem. That way you can see for yourself how these advanced accounting methods actually work in the real world, when the stakes are incredibly high. All right, so here's the plan for today. We'll kick things off by setting the scene, this high-stakes puzzle at OiloGo. Then we'll meet our main character, Dharm, the new controller, and figure out what his mission is. After that, we're going to dive deep and untangle the company's operations, compare the old way of accounting with the new ABC method. And then, at the end, I'll give you the exact framework you need to solve this thing. Sound good? Let's get started. Okay, first up, a high-stakes costing puzzle. Our story starts with a company called OiloGo Inc. Now, these guys are a big deal, a major North American energy company, and they have operations scattered all across the globe. But for our purposes, we're going to zoom way in, focusing on one very specific, very complex operation in a host country in the Middle East. So here's the setup. OiloGo is operating under two totally separate production sharing agreements. You've got one for Area 1 and a second one for Area 2. And get this, OiloGo puts up all the initial cash. They take on all the risk. Then, once they strike oil, a single company called the Production Sharing Company, or PSC, is set up to run the day-to-day operations for both areas. And right there, that's the catch. You have one company trying to manage two completely separate legal deals. This is where things start to get complicated. All right, so into this complicated mess steps our hero, the guy who's been hired to sort it all out, Dharm, the new cost controller. So let's meet Dharm Dardum. The guy's got credentials, no doubt about it. He's a CMA, has a solid background in manufacturing, knows his IFRS inside and out. And, most importantly for our story, he's a real expert in something called activity-based costing, or ABC. But, and this is a big but, he's a total newcomer to the oil and gas world. Production sharing agreements? He's never seen one before. So he's got the right tools, but he's in a completely foreign land. And, there's no easing into this job for Dharm. Nope. He's immediately thrown right into the fire by the company's CFO. He gets handed a mission where accuracy isn't just a goal, it's the only thing that matters for the company's bottom line. The CFO basically tells him, look, we have a persistent need for more accurate cost reports. And we're not talking about just tidying up the books for an internal meeting. No way. The numbers in these reports are what decide how many millions of dollars OiloGo gets back from its investment. Think about that. Every single mistake, every miscalculation means they're either leaving cash on the table or, even worse, they could be breaking their legal agreement with the host government. The pressure is on. So the CFO lays out this three-part challenge for Dharm, and this is really the core of our whole case study. He says, 1, tell me what the big challenges are with our current setup. 2, show me how an activity-based costing system could fix it. And 3, explain how this new system fits in with international accounting rules. I mean, that's a huge ask for anybody, let alone the new guy who's still trying to find the coffee machine. Okay, so to even begin to tackle the CFO's questions, Dharm, and that means us too, we have to roll up our sleeves and untangle this whole operation. This is where the clean, neat world of accounting theory crashes right into the messy, complicated reality of oil production. It's a real web of shared resources. Now, this map really shows you the problem better than I can explain it. See? You've got Area 1 and Area 2, two totally separate legal contracts. But then, look at the production facilities, S and Y. They're shared. They don't care about the legal lines on a map. They're physically connected to fields in both areas. And right there, that's the absolute core of this entire accounting puzzle. And this table just drills down on that point. It makes it crystal clear.
Look at Facility S. It's processing oil from fields in Area 1 and Area 2. And Facility Y, same story. So here's the million-dollar question. Well, actually, the multi-million-dollar question. When the bill comes in for running these facilities, how on earth do you split that cost accurately between two different legal agreements? That's the problem DARM has to solve.
And we're not talking about small potatoes here. The scale of this operation is just huge. In a single month, November 2016, we're looking at almost 1.5 million barrels of oil coming out of the ground. That means massive volumes, massive revenues, and of course, massive costs that have to be sliced and diced with surgical precision.
But wait, it gets even more complicated. It's not just the big production plants. You've got this whole network of support services, everything from the power generation plant and the drilling mud facility to the worker camps and the central office building. All of these things, every single one, are shared between Area 1 and Area 2. It's a tangled mess of shared costs, and trying to sort it out with a simple method, well, that's a recipe for disaster.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth is the company dealing with all this complexity right now? Well, that brings us to the big showdown, the old way versus ABC. See, they're using a really simple, traditional method, and as DARM rightly suspects, it's probably dead wrong. The old method is, well, it's simple, I'll give it that. They take the total cost for the month, we're talking over $13.6 million, and they just split it up based on how many barrels of oil each area produced. Area 1 pumped a little more oil, so it gets a little more of the cost. Seems fair, right? But think about it. That method completely ignores what's actually driving those costs. It's a one-size-fits-all approach, and it just doesn't work here. And this is exactly where DARM's special skill comes into play. He knows that traditional costing is like using a sledgehammer to perform surgery. It's clumsy, it's inaccurate. But activity-based costing, ABC, that's like a surgeon's scalpel. It's precise. Instead of one big, simple measure, ABC looks at all the individual activities that use up resources. It then traces the cost based on what actually caused them. It's all about cause and effect. Okay, so now for the fun part. Let's build the framework to solve this. Now, in the true spirit of this being an instructional case, I'm not just going to give you the answer. Where's the fun in that? Instead, I'm going to give you the blueprint, the step-by-step guide. I'm equipping you with the tools you need to crack this case wide open yourself. Oni's solid ABC system is built in 5 phases. It's a logical progression. Step 1. You figure out what the major activities are. What do people actually do? Step 2, you group all the company's costs into cost pools for each of those activities. Step 3, this is key, you find a cost driver for each pool, the thing that actually causes the cost to go up or down. Step 4, you calculate a rate for each of those drivers. And then finally, step 5, you use those rates to assign the cost to where they actually belong, in our case, Area 1 and Area 2. This map right here, this is the secret sauce. It's the visual blueprint for how this all works. And the most important thing to see here is that costs don't just get dumped from one big bucket straight onto Area 1 and Area 2. No, it's more like a waterfall. Costs flow in stages. First, general overhead costs flow down to the support departments like HR or IT. Then, the costs from those departments flow down to the operational activities. And only at the very end of this cascade do the costs finally land on Area 1 and Area 2. It's a careful, multi-step process, not just a big splash. And this table, this is where the magic really happens. This is the power of ABC. Instead of that one-size-fits-all barrels-produced number, you use specific, logical drivers that actually make sense for each cost. So, for the power plant, what drives the cost? Well, it's the energy consumed, right? The megawatt hours. For the worker camps, it's the number of people living there. For maintenance, it's the hours the crew actually works. See? Each driver creates a direct, logical link between the cost and the activity. That's what makes the final number accurate and, just as importantly, defensible. So it all comes back to this one number, $13,633,400. That's the total cost from a single month that DARM has to reallocate. His mission is to take that 5-phase framework we talked about, use that multi-step map, and slice up this massive number in a way that is airtight, a way that's accurate, logical, and something he can stand behind when he presents it to OiloGo's partners, and most importantly, the host government. And that brings us to the final question, which is really a question for you. I've given you the framework. You have the tools. So if you were DARM, what happens next? How is this new ABC system going to change things? Will Area 1's share of the costs go up? Or will it go down? What about Area 2?
And more importantly, what does that shift mean for OiloGo's bottom line? Remember, this isn't just a puzzle in a textbook. The answer to these questions determines who gets paid what. It impacts corporate profits, and it impacts a nation's income from its most valuable resource. That, right there, is the immense power and the immense responsibility of getting the accounting right.